Hey everybody, TacticAngel here, back on the PlayStation 4, playing some World of Warships Legends. Today we're just going to be looking at a replay in HMS Gallant, and of course we're going to be on Tiers of the Desert. Looks like there are a lot of tiers because it's mostly ocean. But, as we start out, this is a replay that I said that I was going to post in my Gallant review, and it's because I'm using a different commander, and that is, of course, Reginald Tyrwhitt. And as you see, basically we're leaning into maximum torpedo effectiveness and maximum stealth here. And that's really what is probably going to make this game work. And it's also one of the reasons why, if I am going to face plant hard in this ship, this is the build most likely to have that happen. As you can see, there's only one destroyer on the enemy team, and that is a really big part of why this is probably going to be a little bit more successful than average. So as the game starts out, we are rushing up towards B. There's a 1 in 3 chance that this is a pretty bad idea. We do not want to fight the Gaeta on the enemy team. So I am starting to turn out because I expect to leave if this gets challenged. And right now it doesn't look like anybody's rushing into the cap to oppose me. That feels pretty good, so we start to turn in. Just a little more, you can see we're right next to a cruiser who also thought that this was his job. And I'm kind of taking a look at him to see, what's his plan here? Because if he turns out and makes speed, then I don't want to use my smoke here. But honestly, he shouldn't be this close and also taking this many shots. So it does look like he's backing up. I decide play the good teammate, so I pop my smoke, and immediately what I need to do is get out of this smoke because I was probably the only person who can provide him with anything to shoot at. So if he's in a smoke, he has nothing to shoot at, and we're not accomplishing all that much. So as a destroyer player, I need to get out of the smoke so that people can see again, have something to shoot at. Obviously, they have a couple of targets over there. It does look like the Gaeta is over there as well. That's one reason why I don't particularly want to go in that direction. The other is that I know that to the south, we're not doing much at all. And at some point, I think I'm probably going to have to rescue that from enemy hands. Alright, so as we're heading that way, we see one of the ships we probably want to see the least. The Helena is a ship I need to give a wide berth so that I don't stray into a fiery death. And now as we're coming up on this gap, you can see that Scharnhorst, he's in my gun range. I could probably have shot at him, but I don't think my shells would have gotten there by the time he capped the base. So I'm not going to give away my position. Instead, we're just going to launch a whole bunch of torpedoes. You did see there is another battleship that is moving in that direction, and I expect him to be coming around the end of that island at about the same time that the Scharnhorst is backing up into the path of these torpedoes. Now, unfortunately, it looks like I misplayed this a little bit. The Scharnhorst maneuvers out of the way of the torpedoes and manages to turn around anyway. And we follow in the last bit of the torpedoes. Managed to hit the Queen Elizabeth 3 times, having never actually seen it. That's pretty good, and obviously we were following those shells in there. With the shell follow view, it is an option on preset 1 and 2. In that particular case, it was very cinematic to watch them slowly find their target. But In other circumstances, if you pay a little bit too much attention to that sort of thing, you will run into islands or into visibility of other ships. So always dangerous to get a little too enthralled by the shell follow view. Right now, I'm expecting that both the Nagato and Scharnhorst will eventually come through that gap, or at least be visible through that gap. So we launch some more torpedoes, just expecting that somebody's going to drive into them. It does look like the Nagato is slowing down enough, but our torpedo prediction was pretty good where it comes to the Scharnhorst. So again, we're watching one of those torpedoes hits home nicely, and we land the second one just a little bit forward of the rear turret. Another 2 torpedoes. We're up to 58,000 damage. Probably more importantly, everyone over here is having to think about why there are torpedoes that keep hitting their ships, in spite of, there not really being a lot of effort on this side to actually take any of the bases. Of course, they actually know exactly why, but it doesn't make it any less annoying. Unfortunately, where the Gallant isn't all that good at World of Warships is I'm not really going to be able to do much about any of these ships unless I get really lucky with some fire chances. And I see that I need to do a little bit more if I'm going to actually affect how things over here at sea are actually playing out. I do launch a narrow spread at the Nagato, hoping we score at least 1 hit. We managed to walk away with 2, and more importantly, we got some flooding, which is exactly what we want. He is going to put that out. I'm going to wait a few seconds, and then we're going to start shooting him with HE, of course. If we can hit him with HE and start a fire now, he's going to burn for a nice long time. It was probably a little early with the first shot, but Japanese damage control is not super great in the game, and it usually has shorter durations. I don't know when I'm playing these games right off the top of my head. I get a little excited. So, unfortunately, our 8% fire chance with this particular build is not coming through for us, and now the Nagato is shooting at us. He does give up his entire ship in order to get some shots, and one of our teammates finishes him off. That was nearly as good for us as if we actually got the kill ourselves. For our team, obviously, it's every bit as good to let somebody else finish him off. Now, either because the enemy was really interested in getting into B as quickly as possible, or they knew that the torpedoes were moving towards the south, they have all basically abandoned C, which at this point we're kicking it into high gear with our engine boost. We're going to get a little bit north of 40 knots, I think. But this is one of the things that, the Gallant is a little bit better at than maybe other Royal Navy destroyers are going to be, because we have an extra half knot on our base speed, and obviously this extra 8% when we really need it, in this case just to relocate, is an asset for sure. I would still 9 times out of 10 prefer sonar, but such is life. Looks like this Queen Elizabeth is probably going to be backing up into that gap again. It doesn't look like it's enjoying the attention that driving into B can get you. So we've left some predictive torpedoes thinking that she's going to move into them. And as you can see, it looks a little bit like that might happen. Once again, leisurely watching my torpedoes find their place.
The enemy is about to win.
The game informs me that the enemy is about to win.
We sank their battleship.
As we watch the Queen Elizabeth sink, I'm starting to doubt that. That will help us a little bit. Our points situation is not super great, but we are up 2 ships at this point. And I'm just moments away from starting to stop the bleeding on this side. Now we're only losing out 3 points every 3 seconds. And in about a minute, we're going to be actually slowly working our way back up in the points game. That will go a long way, particularly towards making the game longer and giving us enough time to actually get rid of those last couple of boats. Now we do have an Allied battleship that is sailing towards the south. It looks like he's being pursued by our old friend Scharnhorst. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to need to go help him, I think. So we kick it into gear, manage to capture the base, and slowly begin to wade our way through the tears of the desert. So many tears.
All stations, concentrate fire on the target. Affirmative.
So we're very nearly within range to start shooting the Scharnhorst with torpedoes. Really, I think what I need to do to help out the Fuso is get as many guns on it as possible. Unfortunately, the Fuso at that range is in a bad position, as you can see. I think he also turned in when he probably should have turned out. Because that German ship does have torpedoes, at close range, it's just so much more dangerous. At this point, we are drawing Scharnhorst away from the rest of my team, and what I'm hoping is that this guy is an aggressive person who is tired of my shenanigans. So what I do is I lay a smokescreen, and I'm not staying here. I just want him to think I'm over here. And my hope is that he charges this smokescreen down and stays spotted while I drive out of the smokescreen, and then get into a position on his side. When I spot him again right here, he actually probably could know that I've left the smokescreen. He's continuing to charge the smokescreen, which is just as well for me. That is exactly what I wanted him to do, but if this was a play-counterplay situation, he should probably realize I'm not there. So we just start putting a whole bunch of nonsense out there. There's only 40 seconds in the game. We have to take these shots, otherwise we're not getting a refund on the torpedoes at the end of the game. And I sail back into sea while hoping, with fingers crossed, that we manage to finish off the Scharnhorst, which we do. That brings us a nice victory. Honestly, one of the better games I played in the Gallant. Definitely the most fun game that I played. We managed to come away with 120,000 damage. That's pretty incredible. 11 torpedo hits, most of them channeling the late, great Carnac the Magnificent. And we top out the charts at 2,800 base XP. Pretty good. Anyway, just a second look at the Gallant. It's still not a ship I can strongly recommend, but if you know what you're doing and you get a little bit lucky, you can have good games like this. So thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.